I still remember the exact shade of blue on the napkins at my parents' lake house that day. Powder blue with white anchors, the ones my mother had ordered special for our family's annual 4th of July celebration. I remember because I was staring at one, crumpled in my fist, when I heard Tyler's laugh coming from the boathouse. That low, intimate laugh he only used when we were alone. Except we weren't alone. I was standing on the deck, and he was supposed to be helping my brother Marcus set up the fireworks. My hands were shaking as I walked down the dock. The wood was warm under my bare feet, still holding the heat from the afternoon sun. I could hear voices now, not just Tyler's laugh, a woman's voice, soft and breathy. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out right there, 50 yards from where my parents were grilling burgers and my nieces were playing cornhole. I knew that voice. I'd known it for 3 years. Ever since Marcus married Vanessa at a sunset ceremony on this very lake. I'd been her maid of honor. I'd held her hands and promised to always be there for her, to welcome her into our family. She'd cried and told me she'd never had a sister before, that I was the sister she'd always wanted. The boathouse door was cracked open about 6 inches, just enough. Tyler's hands were in her hair. Vanessa's yoga-toned legs were wrapped around his waist. They were pressed against the wall where Marcus kept his fishing gear, and they were so lost in each other they didn't hear the door creak when I pushed it wider. Tyler. His name came out strangled, barely above a whisper, but they sprang apart like I'd fired a gun. Vanessa's face drained of all colour. Tyler's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. For a moment, we all just stood there, frozen in this horrible tableau. Then Vanessa started crying. Jessica, I held up my hand. I couldn't hear her voice right now. Couldn't hear whatever excuse or apology or justification was about to come out of her mouth. I turned and walked back out onto the dock, my vision blurring with tears. That's when I saw Marcus. My older brother was standing at the end of the dock, looking out at the water. His hands were in his pockets, completely relaxed. He must have seen me go into the boathouse, must have seen my face when I came out, but he wasn't running toward me, wasn't demanding to know what was wrong. He just turned, looked at me, and smiled. Marcus, I said, my voice breaking. They were. I know, he said calmly. Come here. I practically ran to him, and he wrapped his arms around me while I sobbed into his shoulder. Behind me, I could hear Tyler and Vanessa emerging from the boathouse, their footsteps hesitant on the dock. Marcus, we need to talk, Tyler called out. My brother's arms tightened around me. When he spoke, his voice was still that same calm, measured tone he used in courtrooms. Not right now. Jessica and I are having a moment. Why don't you two head back up to the party? We'll join you in a bit. I pulled back to look at his face. Marcus, what? He put a finger to his lips, then nodded toward Tyler and Vanessa. They were walking back toward the house, Vanessa's shoulders shaking with sobs, Tyler's hand hovering near her back but not quite touching. Once they were out of earshot, Marcus guided me to sit on the edge of the dock, our feet dangling over the water. How long have you known? I asked. About 4 months. 4 months. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Why didn't you tell me? Because I needed to be sure. And because... He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone, scrolling through something. I needed time to plan. Plan what? His smile widened, but it didn't reach his eyes. There was something cold there. Something I'd never seen in my brother's face before. You'll see. Do you trust me, Jess? I nodded, because of course I did. Marcus had protected me our whole lives. When I was bullied in middle school, he'd walked me to every class. When my first boyfriend broke my heart, Marcus had shown up with ice cream in every rom-com ever made. When I'd wanted to open my boutique but was terrified of failing, he'd co-signed my loan and told me he believed in me. Then here's what's going to happen, he said. We're going to go back to that party, and you're going to act like everything is fine. Can you do that? Marcus, I don't understand. Tonight at sunset, I have a surprise planned for Vanessa, a vow renewal ceremony. Very small, very intimate, just family. Everyone thinks it's because we hit our 3-year anniversary last month, and I wanted to do something romantic. He paused, and that cold smile was back. The thing is, Jess, it's not a real ceremony. The minister is actually Jake from my firm. The marriage certificate Vanessa will sign is just a regular piece of paper, but she doesn't know that. I stared at him. I don't. Everyone at this party is going to watch my wife recommit herself to me. Everyone is going to watch your fiancé stand there as my best man, knowing what he's been doing behind our backs. And then, during the reception, we're going to screen a little video montage. He held up his phone again, courtesy of the private investigator I hired 2 months ago. My stomach dropped. Marcus. Photos. Videos. Text messages. Hotel receipts. All of it, Jess. Set to music, projected on the big screen for our parents, our aunts and uncles, our cousins, everyone. His voice was still perfectly calm, but his knuckles were white where he gripped his phone. They want to humiliate us? They want to destroy our families while pretending to be part of them? Fine. Let's see how they like being exposed in front of everyone they know. I didn't even know what to say. It was cruel. It was brilliant. It was absolutely insane. Mum and Dad. Mum and Dad know. I told them 2 weeks ago. Dad was the one who suggested the fake vow renewal, actually. Mum's been calling it justice with a side of schadenfreude. He looked at me carefully. The question is, are you in? Because if you want to leave right now, take Tyler aside and end it privately. I'll understand. This is my revenge plot, not yours. You don't have to. I'm in. The words came out before I even fully processed them. But as soon as I said them, I knew they were true. Tyler and Vanessa had made a choice. They'd chosen to betray us, to sneak around, to lie to our faces every Sunday dinner and family barbecue. They'd chosen this. Marcus squeezed my shoulder. Okay, then let's go act like the happy couples we're supposed to be. Walking back to that party was one of the hardest things I'd ever done. Tyler was waiting by the grill, his face pale and anxious. When he saw me, he started to come forward, but I shook my head slightly and went to him instead. We need to talk, he said quietly. Not here, not now. I forced myself to smile, to touch his arm. After the party. We'll talk after, okay? Relief flooded his face, and I felt sick. He actually thought I was going to forgive him, that we'd talk it out, work through it, that I'd understand. 8 months ago, this man had gotten down on one knee at the Botanical Gardens and asked me to spend my life with him. I'd said yes without hesitation. We'd been planning a wedding for next spring, looking at venues, tasting cakes. All of it was a lie. Vanessa was in the kitchen with my mother, helping prepare the side dishes. When I walked in, she looked up with red-rimmed eyes, and I saw my mother give her shoulder a gentle squeeze before leaving us alone. Jessica, please, I'm so sorry, Vanessa started, fresh tears streaming down her face. I never meant for this to happen. I never wanted to hurt you. It's okay, I said, and I watched her face transform with hope. We'll talk later, after Marcus's surprise. Surprise? He's planning something special for you tonight. For your anniversary. I managed to smile. He really loves you, you know. The guilt that crossed her face almost made me feel sorry for her. Almost. The afternoon dragged on like slow torture. I played with my nieces, Marcus's daughters from his first marriage. Emma was 7 and Sophie was 5. Both blissfully unaware that their stepmother was about to be publicly humiliated. I wondered what Marcus would tell them later, how he'd explain why Vanessa wouldn't be living with them anymore. Tyler kept trying to get me alone, but I avoided him, staying close to groups of relatives, keeping busy with party setup. Every time I caught Marcus's eye, he'd give me a small nod, a silent reminder that we were in this together. As the sun started to sink toward the horizon, painting the lake in shades of orange and gold, Marcus clinked his glass to get everyone's attention. We were all gathered on the lawn. About 30 people total: our parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, my mother's book club friends, some of Marcus's colleagues. Thank you all for being here today, Marcus began. His voice was warm, affectionate. If I didn't know better, I'd think he was genuinely happy. Vanessa and I wanted to share something special with you all. 3 years ago, we got married on this lake, surrounded by the people we love most. It's been an incredible journey, and I wanted to mark this milestone with something meaningful. Vanessa's hand flew to her mouth. She was crying again, but this time with joy. She had no idea. So I've arranged a small vow renewal ceremony. Nothing fancy, just a chance to recommit ourselves to each other in front of our family. He held out his hand to her. Vanessa, will you marry me again? She practically ran to him, and everyone applauded. I saw Tyler clapping too, his face tight with strain. My father came to stand beside me, putting his arm around my shoulders. "You okay, sweetheart?" he murmured. "Getting there, Dad." Jake, Marcus's colleague, came forward in a suit, carrying a leather folder that looked official enough. The ceremony was short and sweet. Marcus and Vanessa faced each other, holding hands, while Jake recited vows from memory. They exchanged rings, Vanessa's same wedding band, and a new one Marcus must have bought just for this charade. "By the power vested in me," Jake said solemnly, "I now pronounce you still husband and wife." Everyone laughed. Vanessa kissed Marcus, and my mother was crying happy tears. Tyler was Marcus's best man, standing stiffly beside them, and I was Vanessa's maid of honor for the second time. The irony was so thick I could choke on it. Then came the reception. My mother had set up a projector and screen on the lawn for a special video Marcus made. She and Dad brought out champagne and cake while everyone settled into chairs. "I put together a little montage," Marcus announced, "of our journey together. Vanessa, this is for you." The screen flickered to life, and for the first few seconds, it was exactly what everyone expected. Photos of Marcus and Vanessa's wedding, honeymoon in Bali, Christmas mornings with the girls. Sweet music played in the background. Then the music changed to something discordant, and the images shifted. It took people a moment to understand what they were seeing. A photo of Tyler and Vanessa having dinner at an Italian restaurant across town, leaning close over candlelight. The timestamp, March 15th, 6 months ago. Vanessa gasped. Tyler went rigid beside Marcus. The next image was a screenshot of text messages. Tyler's name at the top, messages that made my stomach turn. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Marcus is working late. I hate lying to Jess, but I can't stay away from you. When are we going to tell them?" Someone in the audience said. "Oh my God." The photos kept coming. Tyler and Vanessa entering a hotel in the city, kissing in a parking garage, her hand on his chest outside a movie theater. Each image was time-stamped, dated, locations noted. The investigation had been thorough. Then came the videos, short clips, grainy but unmistakable. Tyler pulling Vanessa into an embrace in what looked like a storage room. Vanessa laughing as Tyler spun her around in a park. I recognized the one 3 blocks from my boutique, where Tyler sometimes ran errands during lunch. The final image was from today. The private investigator must have been here, with a long-range camera. It was Tyler and Vanessa in the boathouse, frozen in the moment before I'd interrupted them. The timestamp read 4:47 p.m., less than 2 hours ago. The screen went black. For a long moment, nobody moved. The only sound was the lake lapping against the shore and someone's champagne glass hitting the grass. Then my mother spoke, her voice like ice. "Get out." Vanessa was sobbing, her hands over her face. Tyler looked like he might be sick. He reached for me, and I stepped back. "Jess, please, let me explain." "Explain what?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "That you've been sleeping with my brother's wife for 6 months? That you were planning to tell me, you just needed the right time? That it meant nothing?" I laughed, and it sounded brittle, even to my own ears. "Save it, Tyler. We're done. You can't just—" "I can, and I am. In fact, you need to leave. Now." My father stepped forward, and several of Marcus's law firm colleagues, big guys who looked like they worked out, moved closer. The message was clear. Tyler looked at Marcus, who had his arm around his sobbing daughters. "This is insane, man. You're insane. That was evidence," Marcus said calmly. "All of it admissible in divorce court, by the way. Along with the prenuptial agreement Vanessa signed, which has a very specific infidelity clause." He looked at his wife, and for the first time, real emotion cracked through his calm facade. "You get nothing. Not the house, not the cars, not a dime. You can collect your belongings tomorrow between noon and 2, supervised by my assistant. After that, I never want to see you again." Vanessa reached for the girls, but they shrank away from her, crying. "Emma, Sophie, please." "Don't," Marcus said quietly, and there was such pain in his voice that I felt tears spring to my eyes. "Don't you dare. You don't get to hurt them anymore." My uncle was already herding Tyler toward the driveway. Vanessa stumbled after them, her beautiful sundress, the one she'd probably planned to wear for her romantic vow renewal, streaked with mascara tears. After they left, the party dissolved into quiet conversations. Some people left, uncomfortable with the drama. Others stayed, offering support, asking if we were okay. My mother kept hugging me, and my father looked like he wanted to go punch someone. Marcus and I ended up back on the dock in almost the exact same spot where we'd sat hours earlier. The sun had fully set now, and fireworks were going off across the lake from other 4th of July parties. "Are you okay?" I asked him. He was quiet for a long time. "I don't know. I've been planning this for so long, staying calm, collecting evidence, setting everything up. I think I forgot to actually feel anything about it." He paused. "Now I'm feeling it." I took his hand. "I'm sorry, Marcus. I'm so sorry. Don't be. This isn't your fault. It's not my fault either." He watched a firework explode into gold sparks over the water. "They made their choices." "When did you find out?" "Really? 4 months ago, like I said. I came home early from a conference, and Vanessa's car was in the driveway, but she didn't answer when I called out. Found her phone on the kitchen counter with a text from Tyler on the screen. Can't wait for tonight. Em is out of town, right? He let out a long breath. Em is Marcus, the man she married, the father of her stepchildren, and she was so careless she left her phone where I could see it. What did you do? Called a PI that night. Told him I needed everything. Then I went to a hotel and tried to figure out what to tell the girls. His voice cracked slightly. They love her, Jess. They call her Mum sometimes, and she just didn't care enough about them to stop. We sat in silence, watching the fireworks. After a while, he said, I almost told you so many times, but I knew if I did, you'd want to confront Tyler immediately. You'd want to talk, to understand, to maybe work through it. That's who you are. You fix things. You find solutions. You think I'd have forgiven him? I think you'd have tried. Because you loved him, and because you'd want to understand how this happened, and because you always see the best in people. He squeezed my hand. But he didn't deserve that chance, Jess. Neither of them did. They don't get to control the narrative, don't get to make excuses, don't get to ask for forgiveness on their terms. He was right. I would have wanted to talk it out, to hear Tyler's side, to see if there was anything worth salvaging. And Tyler would have been so sorry, so remorseful. He would have cried and begged and promised to change. I might have even believed him. Thank you, I said, for protecting me, even from myself. Always, little sister. The next few weeks were brutal. Tyler tried to contact me constantly, calls, texts, emails, even showing up at my boutique until I threatened to call the police. Vanessa moved back to California, where she was from. Marcus filed for divorce, and his lawyer sent her a copy of the prenup with the relevant sections highlighted. My mother took down every photo in the house that included either Tyler or Vanessa. My father called Tyler's boss, they golfed together, and had a very frank conversation about the kind of man Tyler really was. It didn't get Tyler fired, but according to Dad, it definitely affected his upcoming promotion review. I threw myself into work, redesigning my boutique's entire fall collection. Marcus focused on the girls, taking them to therapy to help process why Vanessa had left. They'd learned a modified, age-appropriate version of the truth. That Vanessa had made some very bad choices that hurt their family. And sometimes adults make mistakes that can't be fixed. 3 months after the 4th of July party that became infamous in our family history, I was closing up the boutique when someone knocked on the glass door. I'd flipped the sign to close 20 minutes ago, but when I looked up, I saw it was Daniel, one of my regular customers' husbands. He was holding 2 coffee cups. I know you're closed, he said when I unlocked the door. But I saw your light on and thought you might need a break. Decaf vanilla latte, right? Your favorite? I took the coffee, surprised he remembered. Thanks. That's really sweet. I also wanted to apologize. My wife told me what happened at your family party. I should have reached out sooner, but I wasn't sure if you'd want to talk about it. It's okay. I've been doing a lot of not talking about it, honestly. Would you want to talk about it now? Or we could just drink coffee and talk about literally anything else. I'm good either way. I found myself smiling for the first time in weeks. Anything else sounds perfect. We ended up sitting on the floor of my boutique, surrounded by fabric samples and sketches, talking about his work as a graphic designer, my ideas for the spring line, the best pizza places in the city, our mutual love of bad reality TV. It was easy and comfortable and normal in a way nothing had felt since that horrible day. As he was leaving, he paused at the door. I know the timing is probably terrible, and feel free to tell me to back off, but would you want to have dinner sometime? Like, an actual dinner, not just me crashing your boutique with coffee. I surprised myself by saying yes. Marcus raised an eyebrow when I told him about Daniel the next Sunday at family dinner. We'd started having these dinners every week now. Just Marcus, the girls, our parents, and me. A new tradition born from the ashes of the old one. A date? He asked. Already? It's been 3 months, and it's just dinner. Good for you, my mother said firmly, giving Marcus a look. You don't need to wait for some arbitrary amount of time. If he makes you happy, that's what matters. Marcus held up his hands in surrender. I was going to say good for her. I was. I'm totally supportive. You were going to go into overprotective brother mode, I accused. Maybe a little, but I've learnt my lesson about trying to control everything. He was quiet for a moment. You deserve to be happy, Jess. Tyler was an idiot to lose you. 6 months later, I was working late at the boutique again when my phone buzzed. Tyler's name appeared on the screen, the first time he'd tried to contact me in months. Against my better judgment, I opened the message. I saw you're seeing someone. I'm happy for you. I wanted to say I'm sorry, really sorry, for everything. I was selfish and stupid and I threw away the best thing in my life. I know it doesn't mean anything now, but I needed you to know. I hope he treats you the way you deserve. I stared at the message for a long time, then deleted it without responding. Some apologies come too late, and some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. Daniel picked me up an hour later for dinner. He'd met my parents the week before and had survived Marcus's intense interrogation with flying colours. The girls loved him. He played Princess Tea Party with them without complaint and always remembered which Disney princess was currently their favourite. You okay? He asked as we drove to the restaurant. You seem quiet. Tyler texted me. First time in months. Want to talk about it? Not really. I just want to have dinner with you and forget he exists. He smiled and took my hand. I can work with that. That night, lying in bed, I thought about the 4th of July party. About watching that video montage with my family. About Vanessa's face when she realised what was happening. About Tyler's desperate attempts to explain. About Marcus's cold, calculated revenge and how it had felt to be part of it. I should have felt guilty. Maybe. Some people might say we'd been cruel, that we'd humiliated them unnecessarily. But all I felt was relief. Relief that I'd found out before I married Tyler, before we had kids, before I'd wasted years of my life on someone who didn't value me. Relief that Marcus had been strong enough for both of us when I would have been weak. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Marcus. Love you, little sister. Proud of you. Love you too, big brother, I typed back. Thank you for the fireworks. Because that's what it had been, really. Not just revenge, but a kind of celebration. An ending and a beginning all at once, wrapped up in one spectacular, explosive display that lit up the darkest night of our lives and showed us the way forward. A year later, Marcus met someone new. Catherine was a kindergarten teacher with a laugh like wind chimes and a patience with the girls that was genuine and earned. She didn't try to replace Vanessa. She just loved Emma and Sophie exactly as they were. At their wedding, a small ceremony at City Hall, Catherine looked at me and said, I heard the story. About the 4th of July. Marcus told me everything before we got serious. And you still wanted to marry him? I asked, half joking. Are you kidding? A man who loves his family that much, who protects his sister like that. Who goes to the mat for the people he cares about? She smiled. That's exactly the kind of man I want to marry. I stood next to Marcus as his best person. And this time, when I watched him promise forever to someone, I knew it was real. Daniel sat in the front row, holding Sophie on his lap because she'd insisted. Emma was the flower girl and took her job very seriously, making sure every single petal was distributed evenly down the aisle. At the reception, my father made a toast. To Catherine and Marcus, may your love be true, your trust be earned, and your fireworks be only the celebratory kind. Everyone laughed, but Marcus caught my eye and winked. We both knew the truth. Sometimes the most beautiful things are born from fire.